Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Now, why did I say please watch on this video? I have 3 reasons. And why did I show a picture of a box of tea, which is Yorkshire Gold? That's a story too, and it's important. I've been feeling quite sluggish lately, and this is the best tea, so I might be a little extra, as the kids say, but I think this is an important video, seriously. If you haven't watched my channel before, my name is Marilyn, formerly called the Baby Boomer Booktuber for obvious reasons. And today I'm doing a tag. But wait, don't go away yet. This is an important tag, and I'll tell you why. Those 3 reasons. The 3 reasons are that this is Nonfiction November, and for some reason, whenever I see a title that's Nonfiction November, people tend to not watch it. They're more into fiction, maybe, and there are more fiction readers than nonfiction readers. But wait. Just wait a second. Let me tell you the 3 reasons why this video maybe is watchable. Now, everyone knows a book olive who is Olive from a book olive who is at all familiar with Booktube. And this is her last year that she's hosting Nonfiction November. I'm not going to do her prompts though, but I'm going to have them down below in the description box. I love nonfiction, but there are two other reasons beside that. The person that created this booktube tag is a new booktuber, and the person that tagged me is a new booktuber, and we'll tell you their names later on. But I think we should support small booktubers in any way we can. And I didn't have any confidence in making a tag, and I've been doing this 4 years, and it was just this year that I did my first original book tag, and I think this new booktuber did a really good job. Let me tell you her name now. I'm not going to say wait until the end, okay? The person who, her name is Julie, and her channel is Bookish Travels, and I liked her video because not only did she do an original tag, which is very brave, but she shows outside as well as inside. It's almost like it's traveling, and I love traveling, and traveling is part of nonfiction. The 3rd reason is, and this is a personal reason, I think nonfiction is so important. It actually, I think it saved my life. So even though that I started reading at a very young age, and it was mostly fairy tales and other kinds of fiction, I think that nonfiction is something that can really help a person. Not only help them emotionally, physically, but also expand your mind and teach you. If you weren't lucky enough, and I wasn't lucky enough to go to college after high school. I did graduate college, but it was when I was 38 years old. I didn't even graduate high school. I took my GED because I was thrown out of school for being married. Not being pregnant, but being married. And that's the way it was in the early 60s and mid 60s in certain public schools. So I used reading, nonfiction reading, all kinds of reading, but especially nonfiction reading, to get me through, to educate me. And I think by the time I was able, when my children were older and I was able to go to college, I started with just taking a few classes in my neighborhood, and then I went on to a 2-year with called either junior college or community college, we call here. In fact, I went to community college way back in New York I was studying drama and singing and acting and dancing. That lasted about a year, but I continued taking one class at a time, changing majors until I found a major that fit me. And that major wasn't available in the 60s. But, this is not about me. This is about nonfiction. So I'm going to get to the prompts, and I'm not going to do all the prompts. As Julie said, and let me first say that I was also tagged by a small booktuber, Kim, at Wild Hearts and Wild let me say it again, Wild Hearts and Wild Flowers. And I'm loving her channel, by the way. Very smart, loves nonfiction. And so I'm doing this tag to encourage everyone to read more nonfiction because, like I said, it saved my life. So let me start, on to the questions. And like I said, I'm not going to do all the questions, but I did show you some tea. Now, why did I show you this tea? There was a famous actress who went on the Queen Mary 2 and brought this tea with her. She's a Scottish actress. I don't remember her name offhand, but she went on the Queen Mary 2 where there's a lot of tea. But this tea, she said in an article, this tea is the best tea in the world. And believe me, I'm not a spokesperson for this tea, but I've been drinking tea since I was 18 years old. I've never had a cup of coffee in my life. No one believes me, but it's true. But this tea is like coffee. It gives you that boost I imagine that coffee gives people. I imagine it, but I kind of know it because everybody in my family, when they want a boost, they drink tea. And like I said, they drink coffee. And like I said, I haven't been feeling that great since all the excitement of the wedding came out, and then I haven't been posting, and I found out that just looking at my YouTube studio that I lost 5 subscribers. So come back. I beg you. I implore you to come back to my channel. I'm joking, sort of. Okay, so let's get back to the questions. And I might be a little dramatic, but this is coming from my heart. It's really coming from my heart. And whatever I do on BookTube comes from my heart. And I'm not a reserved person. And so you might get a little extra. Okay, so the first prompt is, what motivated you to pick up your first nonfiction book, and can you remember it? Julie didn't remember, and I don't remember, but as I said in my own book, when I wrote a memoir, and I am doing a revision of that memoir to put it out there again. But I said, it's probably, I wrote this in the book, it was probably something like, How to Be Popular When You're Pretty Ugly. And I was going to name the book Pretty Ugly because I never felt like I was enough. And so I was looking at these at that time we had like sort of programs and comic books, how to be popular, how to make people like you. And I was very shy, believe it or not, at that time. And there was many reasons for it. But, it all comes down to self-esteem, right? So it was something on that general topic of how to be popular. So that's what motivated me also to pick up a nonfiction book. But that started a whole love of nonfiction for me because I really love nonfiction, as you can tell. Number 2, how do you choose your next nonfiction read? Now, I don't think of it as my next nonfiction. I always have nonfiction on the go, and I get that nonfiction from BookTube, of course, my friends on BookTube, my wonderful friends, because I live sort of an isolated life. When this whole wedding and family stuff started, That was unusual for me. So sometimes I get lonely. And what's the best thing for loneliness besides reaching out to all of you? Books, of course, nonfiction books. So I don't really have a plan on choosing nonfiction. It's whatever is happening in my life or whatever I want to learn about. What do I want to be educated on? What don't I understand? Maybe something in the news that I didn't understand. And boy, there's a lot that I don't understand in the news lately. I mean, well, anyhow. Number 3, do you take notes or annotate your nonfiction books? I would say not only do I take notes, I write on it. I underline things that are important to me in that book. I want to learn. When I find a aha moment in that book, oh yeah, that's going to not only be underlined, annotated, it's going to be written in another book of things I've learned from books. So yes, that's a big yes. Now number 4, I didn't really have a answer for it, but I'll let you know what it is. Have you read a nonfiction book that has challenged your beliefs and assumptions? Yeah, maybe I do have a few. The one book, but I wanted to save it for the last, but no, I'm not going to save it for the last. It's a book that I picked up kind of recently, and it was from the Port Washington Public Library. And it's called, and I got it from a library sale in Hawaii. It's called Unworthy, How to Stop Hating Yourself by Anneli Rufus. It's not a very, one day I'll get a better copy because it really helped me a lot. And she's the author of A Party of One and Stuck. So she has issues, and a lot of her issues were really related to my mother issues and not being an outgoing person in real life, or having to make yourself into the person that you want to be. Okay, but I have more books for you. Even though Julie said you don't have to show any books. Of course I'm going to show books because I have books. I have a lot of nonfiction, but it's not going to be a long video. So take calm in that. And I need calm because I drank 2 tea bags worth of tea to get myself started. I don't know if you've ever felt that sluggish feeling when you just can't get going, but let me tell you, getting old is not easy. They say it's not for sissies, but you don't have that stamina. You really don't. And when you've had a lot of action, like getting ready for a wedding, and I'm not going to talk more about the wedding, but family and people, here, I mean, it takes a lot out of you. Before, I used to remember going out dancing with my girlfriends, and they would come over, we would dance first, talk, put on makeup together, and then go out and stay out till 4 a.m. and still have talk and come home on the train late at night. Well, that was a thing then. I don't think I would do that if I was a young person right now in New York City, but some do, a lot do, because it's cheap. Okay, so did I answer that question? Yeah, I think I did. So the belief was, in that book, was how not to hate yourself. And people think, well, why would you hate yourself? It's a thing, believe me. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, how many followers you have on Instagram, how perfect your life is or seems to other people. You have people who are, as they say, unliving themselves because it's not enough. You have to love yourself. As Lucille Ball says, that was her secret. You really have to love yourself, and it's not easy sometimes. I think it was easier for her because she knew that. And I didn't know that until I read books about it. Okay, the next question is, how do you feel about the intersection of storytelling and factual content in nonfiction? It has to happen. It has to happen. Do you want a dry book on not, it could be any topic. You have to tell me a story while doing it. Not a lie, but a story. Especially true maybe in memoir. You have to tell the truth in an interesting way, or else, and you have to have an interesting story to tell, of course, but you have to tell it in an interesting way. So there's a big intersection. I think it's vital. That's all I'll say about that. The next question 6 is there a topic you wish authors would explore? I think authors have explored every topic under the sun. I like right now to read books about ageism, about mental health, which is my project. I have many family members who have that illness, and there's a stigma around it. And I think the more we talk about it, the more we end the stigma. But like I said, I do talk about it on here. I want to talk about it more. And that's coming up in another video as I reach my 300 videos, 300th video in 4 years. Okay, number 7, do you incorporate insights from nonfiction into your daily life? I'll just say all my life I have. And then it was choose just one book from your nonfiction collection to highlight. I can't pick just one book. And I'm very passionate about all these books I'm going to talk about. I have a lot for different reasons. I have to talk first about Man's Search for Meaning. And it's also an introduction to logotherapy, which Viktor Frankl created after surviving a concentration camp. People read this in high school. They should. People should read this. Man's Search for Meaning is the story of a man who became a number, who became a person. And I think he passed away, but he was one of the most famous and gifted of all psychiatrists. And he developed what's a form of psychiatry known as logotherapy. And what he did was an incredible attempt to dehumanize man there was an incredible, of course, we know about what happened in the concentration camps of Auschwitz and Dachau. He led Frankl to commence the humanization of psychiatry through logotherapy. And so half of this book is about how he survived the concentration camps, and how he never lost his humanity, and how he did it. Sort of, if I had to say it in one, they can do anything to you, but they can't force you to how you react to it, how you think about it. So I was trying to find what I really wanted to say about this book, but this book is so meaningful to me. And he mentions in the logotherapy that logo is a Greek word which denotes meaning. So trying to find the meaning in one's life, and that you can go through something really as terrible as what he went to, and he was lucky enough to survive, but he still kept the humanity. And he thinks that if people would do that, they would be happier. This is a wonderful book for anyone who's suffering from anything, maybe what somebody else is doing to them, especially. I know that there's a lot of, I don't want to say evil in the world, because we all know that, but just small things like estranged families. How do you deal with that? If, say for example, your child doesn't want to have anything to do with you and cuts you off. This happens. It didn't happen to me. I'm very fortunate. My children, one of my daughters lives with me. I don't live with her, she lives with me. But I hear so many stories, especially from women who experience that isolation of being cut off from your family. How do you deal with it? It's so painful. But I think reading this book helped me deal with a lot of pain that was in my life. So all I can say is that this is a wonderful book. Please read it. It'll change your life if you want it to, because it'll give you the tools to change your life with. Another book on a similar subject that I picked up is A Train in Winter. And this is a true story. I picked this up actually in the Shakespeare and Company, where you find, in Paris, where you find books that you don't, no, I hope I'm not lying that I picked it up there. I thought I picked it up there. Anyway, I was looking for the stamp. So these are people, and they weren't Jewish. They were teachers, students, chemists, writers, and housewives, a singer at the Paris Opera, a midwife, a dental surgeon. They distributed anti-Nazi leaflets, printed subversive newspapers, hid resistors, secreted Jews to safety, transported weapons, and conveyed clandestine messages. The youngest was a schoolgirl of 16 who scrawled V for Victory on the walls of her lycée. The eldest, a farmer's wife in her 60s, who harbored escaped Allied airmen. So, to make a long story short, they were on a train to a concentration camp for what they did. In January 43, they were sent to their final destination, Auschwitz. Only 49 would return to France. So these were French women. This book just gave me chills. It gave me hope about that there are good people in the world. I just got chills right now. There are good people in the world. No matter what's going on in the world, there are good people. There are people that are helpers, that care about people. And I think it was Mr. Rogers, who I read about Mr. Rogers. My kids watched it. I was too old to watch Mr. Rogers. I did watch it with them. And he said whenever there's a catastrophe, look for the helpers. His mother told him that there were always going to be helpers, and these women most of them didn't survive. I think only there was 200 women, and I think only 40 survived. Yeah, 230 brave women. So not many survived, but the story was told, and it was an important moment for me as a Jew. My mother was Jewish, and tried to keep me away from all the horror that was happening. But knowledge is power, as they say. Now, more lighter, a book that helped me, and I always got told, this is not Witchcraft. No, it's the wonderful Barbara Sher with Annie Gottlieb, who wrote Wishcraft, How to Get What You Really Wanted. Now, in the days before the internet, I wanted to do things, but I had very little resources. So this book helped me in so many ways. Let me just give you, Cindy Foy was a waitress, now she's a pilot. Peter Johnson was a truck driver, now he's a dairy farmer. Tina Forbes was a struggling artist, now she's a successful one. Alan Rizzo was an editor, now he's a bookstore owner. So how do we do things? This was really, you can tell that it was really written. And I gave it to my daughter, so I'm saying Mom on it, because I wanted my kids to get what they really wanted, and they did. This book, it starts out, who do you think you are? That's a very interesting question, or it would be, if the people who asked it when we were young had really wanted a thoughtful answer. Unfortunately, they weren't looking for an answer at all. They already had the answers. So Barbara Sher, she passed away a few years ago. She was a wonderful, motivational person who really helped me. For example, let me give you just some concrete examples. I was a single parent after my divorce. I wanted my daughter to travel. I found out about programs one was American Field Service, AFS, where my daughter, for one summer she went to Italy, and me and my best friend, we helped her sell M&Ms to get there, and for the small amount we got scholarships. I wanted them to get braces, but I couldn't afford it. How could I get like some part-time work while I still had a child? I mean, there were so many ways that this book helped me before the internet. So anyway, I have to say that this was one book, nonfiction, that helped me. And then of course there were the travel books, and now we don't have so many travel books. But I just wanted to show you, I haven't read this book yet. I own it. I got it in another library sale. It's Fodor's Guide to the Da Vinci Code, on the trail of the best-selling novel. But I wanted to show you this book, not because I read it. I don't know how it is yet, but it has wonderful photos of the Louvre, which is one of the famous landmarks, not only in the Da Vinci Code, but in Paris. It's a landmark. And but I wanted to show you the name Fodor. There were a couple of in the 50s. There was Arthur Fromer. There was, I think his name is Eugene Fodor. Arthur Fromer and Eugene Fodor. So they're passed away, but they had Fromer had the $5 a day guide to Europe before all of the other writers who they helped so many people who didn't have a lot of money travel. They helped me go to Spain when I was 23. Yeah, so we had those travel writers that gave us hope. We still have armchair travel books, but now the internet has sort of, yeah, it's kind of ruined that. And I'm reading a book that's sort of a travel memoir. We have those now. I talked about it last time in my last video. So I'll put the last video. Well, the last video comes up anyway. Anyway, travel. That's a wonderful nonfiction. Not only, people who can't travel because of disability, because of health, because of money, we can still travel through books. And that's a wonderful thing, because, I still want to travel, but I'm not sure how long I will be able to travel. And nobody's sure. And of course, another type of book is the mental health books. Another book, two books, were The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It says it's wisdom books. And I have also the companion book with Janet Mills, Using the Four Agreements to Master the Dream of Your Life. Now, in the Four Agreements, Miguel Ruiz reveals the source of self-limiting beliefs that robs us of joy and create needless suffering. Now, I don't agree with everything I read in a book, so some of the things he talks about are maybe I don't agree with him 100%, but it really helped me understand how I was sort of my own worst enemy. So all these books on, giving you power and mental health and eating right, and all these nonfiction books that even though they aren't maybe all true, but you have to keep on reading until you find your own truth, because that own truth, you become smarter as you read nonfiction. And when you become smarter and more educated, you're able to say, okay, that book was silly. That book was just silly. I remember this book I had, it was before Atkins even. It was, if I remember correctly, The Quick Weight Loss Diet, the Scarsdale diet. I mean, I was into every diet under the sun. And as we know now, that's not good to be on a starvation diet. But at that time, I was pushing it. I was saying, yeah, they're right. It was only after I began to become educated in nutrition by reading more books, nonfiction books, was I was able to separate the wheat from the shaft, to put it mildly, and know that it's not good to just eat a hamburger and water for 3 months. You'll lose weight, but boy, you'll lose a lot of other things like your hair. And I blame that diet on my hair. I'm going to end this with a book that I'm not able to read, but I want to read this for many reasons, and it's Seabiscuit. And it's the New York Times bestseller. It was a movie, and for some reason I couldn't get into it, but I just got an audio short. I joined audio for a short period of time, and I'm going to see if I can read this book on audio, because for some reason the first few pages weren't doing it for me. And sometimes you have to, I'm not a big audio fan like some booktubers are, but some books just lend themselves to being told a story, and I'm going to try this very soon, because I've seen it on, for example, Kim of Middle of the Book March, my good friend. I just saw her pick the same copy up. Okay, so the next question or prompt, a book fill, is to tag some people. And this book, I want to make this book popular because of all the reasons I said. But so I'm just gonna tag a few people and hope that the people that are watching this will tag other people. And my first person is Maria Andrea from Books and Bocadillos. Wonderful booktuber, wonderful person. Jack, my good friend Jack from England at Spread Book Joy. Gina Stanier Books. Katya at Page Turners with Katya. Brian at Bookish Texan. Kim, well, Kim is the one who tagged me, so I'm not going to tag her again. And they all tagged Olive at a Book Olive, and I said, why not? I mean, she's so busy, and but yeah, I'm going to tag her too. She's a wonderful person, a wonderful booktuber, and made nonfiction. In fact, she was one of the first booktubers that I ever watched because I love nonfiction so much. Everybody thinks I only like mysteries or translated Japanese fiction lately, but no, and of course Victorian fiction and so many other types of fiction. But there's a special place in my heart for nonfiction, including poetry, including nonfiction, including memoirs. So, is there anybody else? Freddie at Sluggish Reader. I love Freddie. Well, I said in the description, please watch this. And it's not only because of, please watch this because I want you to watch this. It's because I think that it's very important for us to be knowledgeable about either what's happening in the world, what happened in the past. So that's history. And I think of Bookish Texan because I know he writes books about history. So he's interested in history. And I'm just getting interested in different eras of history. And medicine. I love books about medicine. I just talked about a book that I have right here. And I said, and I put it down wrong, The Dressmaker's Mirror that I talked about that was given to me. It was an advanced copy. And I should mention that I said it's available in bookshops on November, whatever it was, 19th or 23rd. But it's not available in bookstores, but it's on her website. You'll get it you'll get it for less money. So, and it's The Dressmaker's Mirror, not Widow. I don't know why I had widows. And I really enjoyed this book. And it's also taught me a lot about genetics. And so science is a big interest of mine. Medicine, science, staying healthy, the blue zones. I can go on and on and on. Why I think nonfiction is maybe the stepsister, the stepchild of fiction. But I love fiction. And I'll continue to talk about fiction. But please, if you like this book, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you do the tag, please tag other people, and let's get this book tag going, because I think that it's great. And also, please subscribe to the small booktubers who I mentioned. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I love you all. I appreciate you all, and always I wish you, as almost 50 years living in Hawaii, so I can say I'm a Kama'aina, longtime resident, and I can say aloha oi.